US diplomat speaks out on political reform. Leung Chun-ying wades into currency debate. And taxi fares going up.
Good evening. US Consul General Clifford Hart today played down claims of American interference in Hong Kong's political development. He insists the road towards universal suffrage must be in line with the Basic Law. Stephanie Choi reports.
The American diplomat insisted today the U.S. position on genuine universal suffrage in Hong Kong has not changed. Clifford Hart also made clear the U.S. does not side with any particular group here, and he played down suggestions that Washington was interfering in local affairs.
We, of course, defer to the people of Hong Kong, their elected representatives in political parties, civil society, the SAR government, and the central government of the People's Republic of China.
Hart also emphasized that in supporting one country, two systems, the U.S. values both political development in Hong Kong and constructive relations with Beijing.
The United States has repeatedly made clear that it supports Hong Kong's progress toward genuine universal suffrage, as laid out in the Basic Law and the National People's Congress's 2007 decision.
But the diplomat was also careful not to cross the line.
I don't think you'll see me speaking in detail to local Hong Kong politics. I don't think it'd be appropriate. I don't think I'm going to be instructed to do that. So I assume that my comments would continue to occur at this level of general policy.
His comments follow criticism by Beijing that foreign countries were interfering in Hong Kong's constitutional development. Today, Hao Chie-chun, publicity director of the central government's liaison office, wrote another newspaper article, this time accusing Britain of doing just that. It followed a recent opinion piece by British official Hugo Swire that Britain stands ready to support Hong Kong towards universal suffrage. Howe accused London of trying to interfere in local affairs even after the handover. Stephanie Choi, TVB News.
The chief executive has rejected calls for Hong Kong to scrap its currency and use the renminbi as legal tender. Leung Chun-ying also played down concerns that a free trade zone in Shanghai will affect the city's role as an international financial centre.
The Shanghai Free Trade Zone is keeping Hong Kong on its toes. It will be the mainland's experiment on the free exchange of the renminbi, and that could affect Hong Kong's status as an offshore renminbi trading hub. Just a month before Hong Kong celebrates its 10th anniversary of being granted the privilege of conducting renminbi business here, mainland academics suggest the SAR should drop the Hong Kong dollar and use the renminbi as legal tender. But Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying assured the city today that the Hong Kong dollar is the legal currency here, as stipulated in the Basic Law. Speaking before the weekly Executive Council meeting, Leung stressed that Hong Kong has obvious advantages it can make use of as the country's international financial centre. He said the city has a high degree of internationalisation, openness and rule of law, which are assets for continued economic development. To bolster further economic cooperation with other cities, Leung will be leading a delegation of about 90 people to Chongqing on Thursday. The delegation, which includes government officials, trade representatives and members of the Trade Development Council, will also visit Guangxi in November and Fujian next January. There are now reports Beijing will open Shanghai's free trade zone to certain websites that are banned elsewhere on the mainland, including the New York Times website and social networking sites such as Facebook and Twitter, to attract more foreign investment.
And the chief executive in council has approved a rise in charges for urban, new territories and lantau taxis. The flagpole charge at the beginning of the journey will increase by $2. And the incremental charge after the first 2 kilometers will go up by an extra 10 cents. Additional charges for each piece of baggage and animal will be increased by $1. The amended charges will be reviewed by the Legislative Council on October 16th. If approved, the new fares will take effect on December the 8th.
The District Court ruled today that a former supporter of Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying, who's accused of perverting the course of justice, will not be allowed to leave Hong Kong for the time being. The hearing involving Liu Monhong will resume in December. The ICAC has accused the former deputy chairman of listed company Pearl Oriental Oil of trying to get Leung and the head of the anti-graft body, Simon Pei, to end an investigation into him. The judge today rejected a request by Liu to change his bail conditions so that he could visit his ailing father on the mainland for about 3 weeks next month. Liu is out of bail until his next court hearing on December the 2nd, which is expected to last 8 days. Well, former Chief Secretary for Administration Rafa Hui is facing more legal woes. The Bank of East Asia has applied to the High Court to have Hui declared bankrupt. In April, the bank filed a writ to claim millions of dollars in unpaid debts. 2 other banks and a finance company owned by Sun Hung Kai Properties are also suing Hui for money owed. He's facing charges of corruption and misconduct in public office in one of the city's most high-profile graft cases. The trial of Hui and 4 others, including the joint chairman of Sun Hung Kai Properties, will open in May at the High Court.
And to Kenya now, where sporadic gunfire could be heard from the Westgate Mall in Nairobi, as government forces claim to have ended a 4-day standoff with militants that killed at least 60 people. But members of the Al-Shabaab militant group claim they're still holding hostages and plan to stand their ground. Sonia Otero reports.
A huge cloud of black smoke began streaming over the shopping mall earlier today. That was followed by the sound of several rounds of gunfire from inside. That's when the soldiers surrounded the mall and opened fire from multiple positions. The gunfire was so intense, journalists and onlookers scrambled to safety. After Kenyan security forces combed the mall floor by floor, they claimed the standoff was over and that all hostages must have been released as there were none in sight.
I have been encouraged by Kenya's magnificent response to the attack.
But an audio message from Al-Shabaab, a Somalia-based militant group linked to Al-Qaeda, threatened more bloodshed. They had given orders to their fighters that they are free to kill the hostages. Kenya's foreign minister said it was clear the attack was well planned out.
I think if you saw the way it was carried out, it was professional, it was very well coordinated.
Among those killed was Elif Yavuz, who was 8 months pregnant. She had worked as a malaria expert for the Clinton Foundation. Her partner, Ross Langdon, was also killed. The premier of Langdon's home state of Tasmania, Australia, conveyed sympathy and paid tribute to the couple's work.
Mr. Langdon and Ms. Yavuz were both highly regarded and respected as people who had dedicated their lives to making a difference in the world.
Many who did survive the horror say they hid in the mall wherever they could, even in air ducts. The gunmen reportedly singled out non-Muslims by testing their knowledge of the Quran. If they didn't know the words, they got shot. A UN envoy is calling for a surge in African troops to Somalia to counter the estimated 5,000 Al-Shabaab fighters. Sonia Artero, TVB News.
Internet postings from Al-Shabaab name 6 Americans who the group claims are among the mall attackers. And the U.S. says it has credible evidence an American man who joined Al-Shabaab posted YouTube rap videos promoting the group. But he was killed after falling out with the group's leadership. More on that from NBC News.
Until he was killed earlier this month, he was the face of the American role in the terror group Al-Shabaab. Omar Hamami, born in Alabama, Syrian father, American mother, president of his sophomore class in high school. He went to Somalia 7 years ago to join up.
The only reason we're staying here, away from our families, away from the cities, away from, ICE, candy bars, all these other things, is because we're waiting to meet with the enemy.
Reports from Somalia say he was killed by a rival Al-Shabaab faction 2 weeks ago. He's one of roughly 50 Americans, most with Somali connections, who U.S. officials say have joined Al-Shabaab in the past 7 years. 3 died as suicide bombers. Many were recruited from the Somali community in Minneapolis, where local leaders say Al-Shabaab considered Americans a prize.
It'll be a perfect phase for their propaganda machine to lure other kids from refugee camps in Africa or Middle East.
The group has produced videos to entice more Americans and other Westerners to join.
And you're with the best of the brothers and sisters who came here for the sake of Allah.
But in recent years, the number of Americans leaving here to join up has fallen off, thanks in part to efforts by Somalis in the U.S.
The Somali American community, in my view, has been absolutely instrumental in clamping down on the flow of both people and funds to al-Shabaab.
While al-Shabaab has concentrated its attacks against the government in Somalia, it was also blamed for 2 bombings in the capital of Uganda 2 years ago that killed 75 people. But officials say no Americans have so far been involved in any attacks outside Somalia. At a mosque in Minneapolis today, Islamic leaders condemned this latest attack.
The safety and security of the United States is of utmost importance to the Somali American community, and we are committed to be in the forefront of defeating extremism.
Iran will join 5 other countries, including the United States, for talks on the country's nuclear program during meetings at the United Nations this week. The talks will be the highest level contact between Tehran and Washington in 6 years. Here's Alan Buckner.
Iranian President Hassan Rouhani is scheduled to address the UN General Assembly later today. Rouhani is considered a relative moderate among the country's hardline clerical leaders. And just hours after he left Tehran for New York, Iran's government announced it had freed 80 prisoners arrested in political crackdowns. At the world body, preliminary talks had already started. British Foreign Secretary William Hague met yesterday with Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Zarif.
While welcoming recent announcements on the release of some political prisoners in Iran, which I do welcome, I raised our continuing concerns about human rights in Iran.
Hague said he also welcomed Rouhani's recent statements about Iran's desire to improve relations with the outside world.
So the time is now right for those statements to be matched by concrete steps by Iran to address the international community's concerns about Iran's intentions. And if such steps are taken, then I believe a more constructive relationship can be created between us.
Zarif met with several other European diplomats as well. While tempering enthusiasm, the European Union's foreign policy chief said she is encouraged.
What I saw today was energy and determination to try and move forward in our talks. Many things flow from that, but this was the first meeting in order to establish how we would work together. I don't add any more to it than that.
The UN Security Council has imposed 4 rounds of sanctions against Iran because of its nuclear program. Iran has repeatedly said its program is only for producing energy and is hoping to get some relief from the sanctions. Alan Buckner, TVB News.
And still to come in the news tonight. Mainlanders accused of using fake credit cards to shop in Hong Kong. No decision yet to ease milk powder curbs. And meet a group of panda cubs from Sichuan.